Another week, another GSI. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Griffin Sports Insider. I'm Ryan Menley.
And I'm Brett Easley. We begin with basketball. The Griffin women are the early season surprise, while the men, they're still trying to find their footing.
Yeah, the Griffin men are 3-4 overall, 1-1 in the MIAA. That conference play began last week, and here's a recap of the week that was.
MIAA opener, Griffin men playing NBA Jam with Pittsburgh State. On the break, TJ Johnson to Jonathan Phelps. Back to Johnson, Jam. He had 15 points. Later, this is not a replay. Phelps to Johnson, who alleys. P. Allen Stinnett, the oop. Western up 41-32 at the break. Second half, more from Stinnett. The killer crossover and one. He had 22 points on the night. Jonathan Phelps also had 22 points. Here he hits the hanger, uses the glass. Griffin's up by 6. Later, more great ball movement around the world to James Harvey for 3. Make it a 4-point play. He had 15 points. Western had 5 players in double figures. They dished out 23 assists, and they rolled to a 94-79 win.
We know we have a lot of talent, a lot of guys can do different things, but when we share the ball, it's tough for the other team to guard every single person. As you saw tonight, we had solid numbers across the board.
23 assists is great. It's great. It's showing how unselfish we're passing the ball, we're getting good shots. Down the stretch, when we needed to answer some things, we got great shots. But the two things that concern me is turning the ball over 19 times and our defense in the second half.
Tom Smith's Western men taking on David Moe's Emporia State Hornets. Bad news for the Griffins. They were without starter P. Allen Stinnett, suspended 1 game for missing a practice earlier this week. Good news is Jonathan Phelps picked up the scoring slack. 31 points on 8 of 15 from 3 land. But more bad news, Emporia was absolutely unconscious from the floor, especially in the second half. The Hornets shot 72% in the second half. That's right, 72%. And they rolled to a 91-69 victory.
And joining us right now is head men's basketball coach Tom Smith. Emporia, just a bad night, bad performance, or give more credit to the Hornets than we think?
You're only as good as your last night's performance, and that was our last night's performance. So, I think it took away from a decent performance perhaps against Pittsburgh. But, one of the things you have to realize in the MIAA is there's a big difference in being at home and being on the road. And, to learn to win on the road, I think, is the most difficult thing to do in our league.
P. Allen Stinnett, possibly the most talented player in the MIAA. You said before the season he'd bring the Angels or the Devils, and you suspend him a game for being late to practice. Just his status.
Well, he's back. I'm anyone that knows me knows that I don't kick kids off for no reason. So it's not that type of thing. But it's part of being on a team, and part of being part of a team is that you have to play by the rules of everybody else. And if all of a sudden it's okay for him to miss practice, then it's okay for the next guy to miss practice, and pretty soon everyone's missing whatever they want to miss. And I don't think kids understand, and sometimes people don't understand, how important it is to be at every practice, because you cannot accomplish much if you're losing, missing some of your important, people on the floor. And I think that's where we were last week.
You take 20 points out of the lineup, obviously, against a good Emporia team on the road. Definitely it affected the game a little bit, didn't it?
Well, I think that, we'd look back and we'd say, well, defensively you didn't play very well, and I think that's very true. But if we'd have played better offensively, especially early starting the game, and perhaps P. Allen would have helped there. But you know what, that game's gone. We can't do anything about it. We have to move on to the next 2 games.
Jonathan Phelps, just his performance, 8 3-pointers the other night, 31 points. He's your team leader in scoring right now.
Well, not only that, I think he was the only one that was relaxed on the floor and playing. I think everybody else, looked like they're a little bit uptight. Definitely a more physical game than we have seen so far, even against Central Oklahoma on the road or Quincy on the road. I don't think those games were as physical as this game. You could see the experience on Emporia's part, that they've been involved in the league before. They've been through the MIAA, and certainly I think they put us on our heels quickly, but Jonathan didn't. Jonathan came out and he played the way he's capable of playing, and obviously has the ability to rise up from anywhere and hit the 3.
You and your guys have a nightmare week this week in the MIAA. We'll talk more about that when GSI comes back.
And welcome back to Griffin Sports Insider. We've used this term a lot this year, from the frying pan to the fire, and it defines this week as well. At Missouri Southern Wednesday, home to Fort Hays State Saturday.
Well, I think we're getting the best 2 teams in the league right now. Now, will it always be that way? You never know, because there's 20 games to go. But right now, from what I can see, and I think I mentioned before, I'm a member of, I vote for the top 25 in the country, and so I follow all the leagues really well, and certainly follow the South Central region as well as anybody. I think Southern and Hayes are the best two teams in our region right now, and that includes the Lone Star, where I think Central Oklahoma is a good team, but I don't think they're as good as those two teams.
Well, both teams are undefeated coming into this week, and just talk about this road trip to Southern and what that's going to take on Wednesday.
Well, Southern's not only undefeated, but they've beat some pretty good people. They Northeastern Oklahoma they handled easily. They went on the road to I think Arkansas Fort Smith and beat them. Obviously beat Central Missouri at home and won easily at Truman, which is as we all know not an easy feat. I think you're going to have to play really, really well to be on the road with them.
Southern, a team, as you mentioned, it's a little bit of a unique style to this league. They press, they get up and down, they like to shoot threes. They have a lot of talent, but our style of play, we like to get up and down a little bit too. You think that'll be good against a pressuring style Missouri Southern defense?
I think if we can handle it better than we did Southwestern Oklahoma, because when they hit us with a little bit of a press, it kind of bothered us. Central Oklahoma was not quite the same. I think you're going to have to be prepared for it. They give you a little bit different looks. But on the other hand, if you can beat them up and down the floor, and you have some shots at some threes, and you make them pay every time they press, then eventually they have to make some decisions. Are we going to keep the press on and pay for it, or are we going to take the press off? So I don't think we're going to back off and try to be real conservative against the press. I think you'll see us try to run up and down, and I think you'll see us take the three in transition.
And Fort Hays State, a little bit different style. They will get up and down a little bit, but they have some really good post play, don't they?
Well, there's no question, and both of those teams, to me, really play well early. Southern is one that I think because of the style, they get off to so many good starts, and last year I think they ended up playing pretty well also. But Hayes is another one. Last year I think I don't know how long they went before they were probably undefeated. So I think you're going to see two teams right now playing as well as anybody in the league.
As far as your guys go, I don't think there's reason to hit the panic button right now. The talent's obviously there. It's just kind of getting it to gel.
I think the talent's there, and I felt like from day one we've had that kind of talent. But we have to remember that we're playing against other teams that have a lot of talent also, and especially this particular week. And then you turn around and get Washburn. So you're going to see some talented teams coming up here.
With our struggles on defense, I'm going to use a dirty word in your vocabulary, zone defense. Might we see a little bit more of that, or do we stick to hard man-to-man?
I certainly hope we'll see some zone, because someone's got to knock me over the head and say, at least try something that's going to change the tempo of the game. I think more than anything else, we have to be able to change that a little bit when our defense is not doing well.
I'm not going to be the one to knock him over the head. So good luck this week, Wednesday and Saturday. Wednesday on the road at Southern, Saturday at the Field House against undefeated Fort Hays State. That's Griffin Sports Insider. We'll talk women's hoops when we come back.